All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. We're back talking some baseball. I'm with my man Nades. Nice 9-game slate. Coors Field on the slate. Some big arms. Top tier, pretty interesting. Some good options. Mid-tier, down low, some viable ones as well. It's a great slate to come back to, Nades. Excited to talk some baseball with you. What's going on this Monday? How are you doing today, Nades?
Whoa. Not so fast, buddy. We ain't going to start the show off like this. We got to say congratulations to the guy for shipping. I mean, this is all you do, man, out there shipping. But this time you're shipping a life event. Congratulations to you. Awesome stuff there. But yeah, happy to jump back in talking baseball. If you guys didn't know in the chat, our guy Title popped the question. She said yes. She didn't turn him down. He did ship the big one. So he definitely got the job done over the weekend. Title, congratulations. But ready to dive in. Nice little 8-9 game slate here. Incredible weather, some interesting ownership here, and Coors Field slate. So welcome back, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot, Nate. Really do. It's the best weekend I've ever had. It really was truly incredible. Could not be happier in life. And all of you guys, so much appreciation, so much congratulations on Twitter. And right here, I see all the time. Dwayne, Mike Carr, Brian England, kids in here, Tolga, Jordan, American. I already said Dwayne. Rolo's in here, Richie Smalls, Trevor Bryan. I appreciate all you guys, really, man. The words are awesome. Minus 150. Always love seeing you guys in chat. Yeah, I mean, it's better than any bink. Been very, very blessed, very grateful in my life in multiple ways, but the woman is definitely number one for sure. So awesome stuff. I really do appreciate that, Nate. It was a hell of a weekend. I'm excited to get back to the grind, no doubt. Got baseball, still 2 months left of baseball regular season. NFL right around the corner. Best ball definitely right back in the streets, picking up heavy there. NBA will be here before we know it. Of course, MMA, PGA. Shout out to our guy Todd. Tambo went down. There's the +1 with Todd at the golf final. Ships his second milli, wins the golf live final there. So awesome stuff to you, Todd. Appreciate it. Okay, no stop. D-Rock in here as well. Appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us. Fun 9-game slate today, though. All we ask from you, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton on this channel. And if you do want to join SHIPITNation.com, get all of Nate's thoughts, Hoop's thoughts on the slate, G-Rise and Hamwich. If you play cash games, core plays, and projections, stack rankings, hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, we all have them up on the site every single day for every sport. Head over to SHIPITNation.com. Do get in the Discord, too. $59 a month, $599 a year. And, of course, shout out to our partner over at drafters.com. Use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match 100% from $20 to $100. Big Marley and I do a live draft every single week. We'll do it Wednesday this week. 4 weeks left going into the season. They have a nice $20 contest, $300,000 up top. $3 contest, $30,000 up top. And I'm not sure it's going to fill. Right now, it definitely doesn't look like it'll fill. So make sure to get in those streets. Make sure to use the promo code SHIPIT. That's enough for that, though, Nades. Again, appreciate all the words from all you guys. Appreciate the words from you, Nades. Before we even go into pitching right away, let's just do a deep dive over this slate because, again, pitching is up top. We have 3 big arms, Abbott, Corbin Burns, Tyler Glasnow. They're going to get some ownership, but people want to spend up at bats today. The 2 clear spots, the Padres and Coors Field. Questionable weather, so that's going to be interesting, something we do have to monitor going up to lock because if weather was good, they're by far the clear chalk. The Braves are the second team. There's really only 2 teams in their own tier. We had Griffin Canning get scratched for 5 minutes, 10 minutes before we went on the show. I still think the Braves will be second highest owned stack on the slate, but the difference between the Padres and the Braves, I think, really depends on weather today. And after that, everyone else is pretty much 5% owned. You don't really got to worry about ownership there. So any initial thoughts before we go usual pitching and game by game?
Yeah, first thing I'll say about the Braves is, man, they're playing incredible baseball. Absolutely just shit-stomped our Brewers a couple times here. It was nice to see the Brewers bats wake up a little bit, at least. And put up some sort of fight. But I mean, when you got a team like the Braves in incredible hitting weather like we have tonight here, they're definitely going to get ownership. But the interesting thing about the Braves is if you look at their price points, they're expensive. They're very expensive. So that's where I do think the ownership stays in check for the Braves. That's one nice thing because, look, you can't play Glasnow really. You can't play two stud arms in Abbott, Burns, and Glasnow and the Braves. You just can't do it. The cheapest bats over 4K are 3,900, 3,700 Ozuna in there. So you can't do that. So I do think the Braves ownership, I mean, they're going to be owned. They're going to be a top 5 owned stack on the slate, but they're going to be behind teams like Milwaukee, teams like Houston, teams like the Rays, because those guys are cheaper. Obviously, San Diego, like we have every time, right? Coors Field slate, the opposing team, especially a good offense like San Diego, who's started to hit the ball recently, got the big names in there, and they're not priced up to what they should be for being in Coors Field. Happens every time, game one. So Padres clearing the cut. I mean, the chalk of the slate, but then you throw in the wrinkle, right, with the weather. Kevin Roth has it tagged as orange right now. Far and away the worst weather game on the slate, the only weather game, if you will. I mean, there's a little bit of risk in the Washington and the New York game, but I mean, you're going to have to monitor that leading up to lock. We got about 2.5 hours, right, give or take, until lock here, and weather can change drastically. And you take the Padres out of this slate. I mean, I do think the clear favorite then becomes the Braves, right, is the chalk, because people right now are choosing the Padres over the Braves. At least early ownership projections look that way. So definitely keep an eye on that. But yeah, I mean, it's a definitely interesting talking point. The only thing I will say though is the Braves. I love the Braves like every slate, especially against pretty brutal arm. I mean, I liked him more against Canning, but still, I mean, I'm not scared of this jabroni out there. And then the Angels bullpen behind him. 95, 92 degrees, 93 degrees, double-digit wind blowing out in Truist Park, and the Braves are absolutely locked in at the plate right now. And their price tags. I mean, like I said, every bat in the lineup's at least 4K, with Rosario now priced up. Ozuna finally got a price bump, so they're all 4K or above. And you don't see that. Any other team on the slate has cheap guys, especially at the bottom, that are sub 3K. So that's where the ownership is just going to stay low, because you have to stomach cheaper pitchers. And that's what I've done recently. And that's why the Braves overall just haven't been super chalky, is because you can't play the top end arms that everyone wants to play and stack the Braves. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, great breakdown there. We talk game theory all the time. Like when people play Braves, there's a select few pitchers that they are going to gravitate to, cheaper arms that are going to get ownership there. So we'll break it all down. Great breakdown there. But yeah, like you can go to the Padres, by far the highest team total on the slate. They have multiple bats under 4K. At least we don't have their lineup out yet, but bottom of the order, they will have bats that are sub 4K where you can double spend pitching, play 5 Padres, get a cheap mini stack after that, where you can't really do that with the Braves. So, yeah, going to be a fun slate. Pitching, very interesting. Going to dive right into it. Boss Pro, though, Rio Turner, Gator Nation, Jake, what's going on, guys? Appreciate all you hanging out with us. And again, like button, hit that subscribe button, helps us out a ton, goes a long way. 8K and above at pitching nades. We got a lot of good arms up here, and it's interesting because Tyler Glasnow, Corbin Burns, Andrew Abbott, the 3 best real-life arms, the 3 highest-priced arms. However, I think ownership, like in this range, like Alex Cobb at 8K, he's going to get some. I think Charlie Morton comes in as one of the highest-owned pitchers, 9.3K, second highest K prop on the board at 7.5. Glasnow is the only one with the bigger one at 8.5. And 9.3K, that's a $1,200 discount from Glasnow, $900 discount from Burns. You expect the Braves to put up runs, so we should be in line for the win. I think Charlie Morton comes in one of the most popular. I think he is the most popular in this range up here, but George Kirby right below him. Very interesting. A tough game from last time out, 5 earned runs, but the strikeouts were there. Tough match against Boston. I think he's going to be lower owned. Stroman, 8.4K. The Ks aren't necessarily there all the time. Extreme hitters, umpire behind the dish as well. I don't love Stroman. I'll throw Abbott out as well in that range. I just like Burns more for 200. I like Glasnow more than Burns and Abbott because of the strikeout upside. Burns, he's been so good since the All-Star break, but these Nats can be pesky. Still like him in that range, but how I rank it, Glasnow is my favorite for Glasnow, Burns, Abbott. I like Morton, but if he's just going to be 2 times the ownership or 1.5 is a George Kirby or an Alex Cobb, I think I'd rather go that route. But Morton definitely makes sense. However, very good hitting weather there in Atlanta. We do have options below 8K we'll get to after, so I don't think any of these guys are a must. Probably starting at least one guy in your lineup above this range makes sense is how I see it. But yeah, I rank it Glasnow as my favorite. Even with Aaron Judge back, there's plenty of strikeouts to be had in this lineup. And man, George Kirby burned me a little bit, but because he's right in that Morton range, I think the ownership discount will be enough. I'll say him at 2, but really curious to hear your take. 8K and above, what you got, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, this is a loaded range. To be honest, if you're not playing the Braves, I wouldn't mind grabbing 2 of these guys, like a Cobb, a Kirby, something like that, and then one of the top ends, like a Glasnow, a Burns, something like that. One thing I will say is Abbott at the top is going to be sub 5%. The dude has a very, very talented arm. There's double-digit winds or 8 to 10 mile an hour winds blown in Wrigley as well. So good pitching weather there. I mean, it's only 80 degrees there, going to drop into the 70s by the end of the game with the wind blown in. You did say extreme hitters ump, which is a little frightening because Stroman has also had some issues as of late. I do think it kind of sorts out a little bit. So I don't hate Stroman in that same game there, but Abbott, I mean, at 5%, sub 5% with his K upside with this Cubs team. I mean, looking at this Cubs lineup, I mean, they still strike out. I mean, you got 3 bats in that lineup that strike out 26% or higher in Morel, Mancini, and Amaya. Obviously, if all 3 of those are in there, I don't see a confirmed lineup yet out, but I do think he's an interesting talking point at the top. Glasnow is my favorite. I'm seeing 20 to 25% ownership on Glasnow. I'm not really afraid of this Yankees lineup, to be honest. I get it, right? Judge is back in there, but Judge also comes with a 30% K rate against righties at home on the year. Obviously, he can hit the ball out of any stadium he plays in. One interesting note, though, is this Yankees lineup just strikes out at a 21% clip. Glasnow, obviously incredible K upside. He hasn't thrown – I just looked. He hasn't thrown over 100 or he's only thrown like 90, 92, 93 pitches in his last 5 starts. He hasn't gone over 100 pitches in like 6 starts, something like that. So that is a concern a little bit there. This Yankees lineup overall is a pretty low strikeout, but Glasnow has fared well against this team. Career K at 32% against this Yankees lineup, 35% K rate on the season. He does get barreled a little bit. It is pretty good weather in New York there as well in Yankee Stadium. I'm seeing pretty warm in the 80s, wind blowing out kind of across the field. So I still think he's my favorite just with his strikeout upside. Corbin Burns would be number 2. Abbott, I still have interest in just at the discounted ownership. I think it's hard to ignore because I'm not going to play Charlie Morton. I don't like Charlie Morton chalk games. Very, very good hitting weather in Atlanta. You still have to face Ohtani. I mean, he can get to you by himself, right? You start getting issues there, and especially at 30%. He's projected to be the highest owned pitcher right now on the slate behind Pivetta. Once we're going to get on later, so I would rather go right to Kirby, who's going to still get ownership. I mean, 8,600. I think the strikeouts are there in this Boston team. Boston away from Fenway is not the same beast, right? Unless they're in Coors Field or something like that, or a win game in Wrigley, like when we played Boston for those 3 games or 4 games that they were in Chicago. But this team, I mean, Alfaro, if he's in there, he strikes out nearly 40%. I mean, Duvall strikes out nearly 30%. Arroyo's up near 20, 23, 24%. I think George Kirby has some strikeouts to be had in this lineup. Great pitcher's ballpark there that he has. So I think he's got a great projection as well. I think he's a great play at 8,600. I like him quite a bit. Already hit on Stroman a little bit. Stroman's scary. But I do think he kind of rounds back into form. I mean, Stroman was lights out to start the year, right? Kind of went through a hiccup in July this month here. So I do think something comes back. It still scares me, though. It's the Reds, extreme hitters ump. When you're facing the Reds, man, they can just steal bases. A single turns into a double. Issues can arise pretty quickly. So not a ton of interest in Stroman. And then Alex Cobb, I think, is interesting. These Diamondbacks kind of cooled down a little bit as of late. There's still not a lot of strikeouts to be had in this lineup, but D-back sitting under a 4 implied run total, good park for pitchers. I don't think Alex Cobb is the worst play at 8K. So ranking this range for me, up at the top, I'm going to go I'm going to go Corbin Burns, number 1, Glasnow, number 2. And then I'll go George Kirby, number 3, up at the top here. And yeah, I mean, it's a loaded range.
Yeah, no, I like the breakdown for sure. Like I said, just there's a Glasnow, Burns, Abbott, Morton, Kirby. I'm not going to throw Stroman in there, but Cobb, like all of those guys I look at as good real life pitchers. Then I dive into pricing, ownership. If Morton's going to be, it's not going to be head and shoulders above the rest in ownership. Like I said, I'm seeing the same thing. I think Pivetta will be the most popular because of his price tag in Seattle. Great Pitchers Park. If he's going to be the most popular, just give me other guys in that range who have just as much upside in better pitching weather than Charlie Morton. So I like what you say about Burns. He grades really well in our pitcher rankings over here. And now it's Cobb. I mean, it's 60 degrees in San Fran. I love weather. I like pitching weather. I like pitcher parks. That's why I like Kirby. That's why I like Alex Cobb. Don't mind that pairing one bit. And Glasnow, he's been so good. The pitch count, he's not going to get over 100. That is where guys like Morton, Corbin Burns have the edge on him for their leash. But he's been so good, so consistent, and just he's so effective with his pitches. I mean, you look at the last couple of games in his Ks, you see 8, you see 9, you see 11. Like you have to scroll a while to see less than 8 strikeouts. I mean, he's been so good these past 5-6 starts since coming back. And again, like you said, judging that lineup hurts a little bit, but yeah, 8, 9, 7, 8, 11, 12. He's just been on a roll. So give me Glasnow's upside. However, like you said, you want to go Cobb Kirby pairing? Totally think that's fine. Now we're going to go 8K and below. People are already talking about viable pitchers here. Chris Bassett at home, someone mentioned in chat, he's been much better at home. I think he makes a lot of sense. Good K prop, 5.5. Pitchers umpire, some juice on the over there. Someone asked about Seth Lugo's ownership. It's going to be sub 5%. You might get 2%, not only because it's in Coors Field, but the weather concern and all of that. So Lugo will be unknown for whoever wants that. I'm not recommending it. Nick Pivetta, though, 6.6K, right in the same game as George Kirby. He'll be very popular. I think the most popular on the slate. He's been used as the opener, or they've got a potential long reliever. Then Pivetta came in usually in the second inning. He's been really good out of there, but it's very nice seeing him actually start. Probably somewhere around 90 pitches in a pitcher's park. There's strikeouts in Seattle. He makes a lot of sense. I think I'd rather eat his chalk than I would Morton, just because of the range and the pricing he's in. Because outside of him, if I would need to pick anyone below 6.6K, maybe Kyle Gibson. Otherwise, I would just probably fully punt all the way down with Jake Irvin against the Brewers, who's not a scary lineup one bit, has strikeouts in that lineup as well. And Jake Irvin coming off a solid game, has some K upside, I guess, 4.5, about even money there. Another pitcher's umpire behind the dish, but he has a leash as well. 90, 100 pitches at 5.5K. You get me 12, you get me 13, allows you to play all the Braves or something like that. I don't love it. I think Pivetta, that's why I'd rather eat that chalk. But below him, the only two I can make a case for is Kyle Gibson, is Jake Irvin, due to the leash mainly. But Bassett in this range, Nick Pivetta, by far the best options. I think ownership will follow. What are your thoughts, 8K and below?
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I've been going cheaper at pitcher the last week and a half, 2 weeks or so, as we've seen the weather start going crazy and a lot of these good offenses being in good spots that are expensive, like the Braves. That's just the way I've approached the slate. That's kind of why I played Blackburn the other day in Coors Field. He was just underpriced. There's strikeouts to be had, and hey, pitchers that are going to have a leash and are cheap. Someone that fits that build is Jake Irvin, back-to-back over 100 pitchers. So even if he does struggle a little bit, he's got the leash, right? That's the nice thing to see when you got a punt pitcher. I mean, 5,500. I mean, half the Braves team is more expensive than that guy, and he's got the ball in his hand every time with a Brewers team that, yeah, they have been hitting a little better right now. But, I mean, a team ISO of 141 still – I mean, you still got a couple guys in that lineup, 24, 25% strikeout rate. So I do think Jake Irvin makes some sense at 5,500. He allows you to kind of do whatever you want with bats in the slate, which is always nice. If I'm full punting down there, I would much rather go to Jake Irvin than mess with Seth Lugo, mess with Gibson. I mean, it's inevitable. There's going to be rain. I mean, there's flood warnings going on in Colorado. So Seth Lugo, I mean, unless he's taking a surfboard out there on the mound, I think he's getting delayed. So you can bet that he's not coming back out after that game does get delayed, if it even plays. So out on Seth Lugo. Nick Pivetta, I mean, it's very, very hard to ignore Nick Pivetta. Much rather eat that chalk like you, Tito, than the Morton chalk. It's just hard to ignore. I mean, Pavetta's been incredible, even in tough offense or tough matchups. Now he gets a Mariners team that strikes out at a 27% clip against right-handed pitching. Pivetta showing almost a 30% K rate on the season. That's second on the slate behind Glasnow. I mean, and Pavetta's 6,600. That's just way too cheap. I don't care what the ownership is. He allows you to do everything. If you really want to get crazy, I mean, grab Pivetta and grab Bassett or Irvin and just go wild in bats. I think that's a very viable route tonight because the other guy I do like down here is Chris Bassett. He's been great at home. It's cold in Toronto. Well, cold, quote unquote cold. I mean, it's in the 70s, double-digit wind blowing straight in from center. He's been good at home. This Baltimore team actually is crazy as it is. I mean, they actually strike out pretty close to, I mean, it's one of the worst on the slate in terms of, or one of the best pitchers strikeout upsides on the slate. There's not a ton of teams that strike out a ton. Obviously, you got the Mariners there. But the Orioles striking out 24% against righties on the road this season. I mean, you got Mountcastle in there, 33% K rate. Gunnar even strikes out nearly 30%. Mateo's back in the lineup. He strikes out right around 30%. So Bassett, I do think, is a great play there at 7,500. So that's kind of the interest down here. Don't really feel like messing with JP France. Cleveland just doesn't strike out. They've been hitting the ball very well right now. J-Ram have a double dong yesterday or the day before. Naylor's been hitting bombs. They're stealing bases. So no interest in him. Those three guys really down here for me, and that's about it. I don't think you need to go hog wild and find a crazy off-the-board gem in this range, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would rather just, outside of Pivetta, Morton, ownership's going to be relatively spread out at pitching. So, and if you're not playing the Padres or the Braves, pretty much pick any two of your favorite pitchers you want, and I think you're good going with that. So, multiple options and multiple tiers. Pivetta, like we said, I'm good eating that chalk for sure. I like Cobb. I like Kirby. The Glasnow, Burns. You mentioned Abbott, the ownership. He definitely is going to be significantly lower owned than Burns, than Glasnow, Morton, Kirby. He's going to be forgotten in that range. He's shown upside, a big arm. So if you do want to play the game theory approach, you play either the Braves, the Padres, or you want to eat a Pivetta chalk or something like that. If you want to get different in the spot, that's why you go Abbott. I get it game theory wise, but on paper, there's just other guys I like in the range a lot more. Recess Collectible in chat, he goes, the wind is blowing out about 25 miles in San Fran. Are you worried about that for pitcher? I see D-Rock and Jax talked about the same thing I was going to say. In San Fran, how they built the park, the wind really doesn't mean too much. And it's 60 degrees there. So give me the cold weather. The wind doesn't impact how the Giant Stadium is built. The wind doesn't impact it as much. Balls won't be carrying out there. The weather, 60 degrees, the balls will die more there. So good question, though. No doubt about it. People talking about Ryan Nelson. Yeah, I'd rather just go Irvin in that range. But again, we're just talking about that park, cold weather. He's going to be really low owned. If that's a cheap punt you want to play, get different, play all the bats in the world. Don't think it's the craziest thing either. If I'm saying something about Jake Irvin or Kyle Gibson, I don't really know I can hate on Kyle Nelson either. So, yeah, or Ryan Nelson, excuse me, either. But, yeah, ranking pitcher, I'll go Pivetta 1. But, again, just know how you use him. You can't fully stack the Braves and then play a Morton, or you can't fully stack the Padres and play a cheap chalk secondary stack. Make sure you get a little different, but at 6.6K on a pitching slate like this, even 14 could be enough. Number 2, I'm going to go Glasnow. Number 3, I'm going to go 3A, 3B, Alex Cobb, George Kirby, right there. Pitcher's Park for Kirby, and then great pitching weather for Alex Cobb. That's how I see it. What do you got, Nades? Your top 4 pitchers today.
Yeah, I'm going to go – I'll go Bassett number 1. I just like Bassett here at home. I like the weather there for him, so I'm going Bassett at the salary number 1. I'll go Alex Cobb number 2, Corbin Burns up at the top number 3 for me, and then Pivetta number 4. But yeah, I mean, we broke down pitching pretty well. Again, ownership for the most part is spreading on pitching. I mean, we're not seeing no 50-60% on pitcher like we have for the last. I mean, it feels like every slate there's one guy that's 50-60% owned. It does seem like it's going to spread here tonight, so that is one nice thing about this slate for sure.
I like it. That is, yeah, it's going to spread. Great pitching slate, and I have no pitchers projected over 19 points personally, so I think bats will win the slate. You get, even if Corbin Burns gets you 16 today, Glasnow gets you 18, I don't think anything will bury you. Glasnow gets you 10, yeah, maybe a little harder to ship, but I think the bats on this slate are going to win people the money today, and not really as much pitching on this slate, which is why dumpster diving, I should say, to a Nelson, if that's what you want, or Pavetta will be chalk, but an Irvin of the world, Bassett's of the world, makes sense. Kyle Gibson, I'm a little higher on too at that ownership. I think he'll be single digits as well. So we're going to get into bats again outside of the Braves and the Padres. If you like any of these teams, they aren't going to be very high owned. Yeah, we do appreciate everyone out there. 235 watching out there. Appreciate all you guys hanging out. All we ask, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton. If you want all of our content at SHIPITNation.com, projections, hitter rankings, stack rankings, pitcher rankings, as well as Hoop Slate Plan, Nate's Core Play, Hamlet's Core Play, G Ryzen as well. Cash games, you get cash reports. Head over to SHIPITNation.com. NFL right around the corner. A lot of exciting stuff coming out. Very, very great time. Exciting time of the year. Best Wall Streets. No better time to jump in those as well. Let's go game by game, Nate. First game of the night, Milwaukee Brewers, Washington Nationals. Corbin Burns, Jake Irvin. 80 degrees in Washington. Obviously, Corbin Burns, the Nats, one of the lowest team totals, one of the lowest owned teams. If they beat me, they beat me. I mean, I'm not – Burns isn't going to get enough ownership. Like, if he was 60% on the slate and pitching was really weak and it was only Corbin Burns, can always make a case for the game theory aspect. Not going to get enough ownership on Burns for me to mess with the Nationals. As far as the Brewers, I mean, 1 of 5 total with the team that's going to – they're not going to be low owned by any means, but Padres, Braves, outside of those two, all of them are going to be in a tier of their own. Guaranteed ninth inning at bat, good hitting weather, a lot of cheap pieces in the bottom of the order too. Maybe they come in a little higher owned than I initially thought, but again, outside of those two teams, I'm throwing it all out, thinking of ownership. So I think the Brewers are interesting. Yelich, definitely my favorite. Carlos Santana, man, right in the middle of the order. They pick him up like it was 10 years ago. I want to hear your thoughts on the Santana pickup. What do you got in this game?
Yeah, well, the Santana pickup is more out of desperation with the Rowdy injury and that stuff going on. I mean, they're just grabbing a guy that they can get for basically nothing. I mean, we gave away a prospect that I don't even know who he was really. I mean, I think he was 17 or 18 years old. He could turn into something like all the Brewers prospects do when we trade him away. That's just how it works. But I don't mind it. I mean, we didn't really give up a ton of capital, and yeah, he's not hitting great. I mean, he's hitting 235 or something like that, right? 12 home runs, something. But I mean, that's not terrible. So I don't mind it due to the injury. I mean, I think if Rowdy's back and Rowdy was healthy and all that, I don't think we go and get him. But they just saw, right, basically got him for nothing. So, hey, throw him in there, hit a bomb yesterday. He don't mind him here tonight either. I mean, 236 ISO against right-handed pitching over the last 30 days. Jake Irvin is a fly ball guy, 35% fly ball rate, which is pretty bad for pitchers overall. K rate just 18%, gets hit over the last 30 days with a 220 ISO. So I don't hate these Brewers. I am seeing the Brewers as the second highest owned stack of the day. Everyone saw they just hit in Atlanta quite a bit, and you got a lot of cheap bats in here. I mean, Weimer, Terang, Caratini, Rey Mysterio there under 3K, Santana in the 3-hole at 3,600, Sal Frelick 3,800. I mean, there's only 3 guys in this lineup over 4K. So that's why the Brewers are going to get a lot of ownership. Everyone wants to play the Padres. They want to spend up at the top on pitching. You need a cheap secondary stack. Well, look for the team that has the highest total with cheap bats, and that's the Brewers. So the Brewers are going to get a ton of ownership here. At least that's what I'm seeing. I don't hate it, but chalky Brewers just feels pretty gross. Yelich is absolutely locked in at the plate right now. I think Yelich is an elite one-off option because I don't think his ownership as an individual player is going to matter that much, to be honest. Bat and leadoff, the dude's locked in right now, so I like him quite a bit. Carlos Santana is not the worst if you want to do a little 1-3 mini stack. add Sal Frelick in there, absolute complete utter stud. I mean, he robbed TDA of a freaking double or a triple at least, extra base, 2 RBI. Frelick just runs the gap, dive and play, catches the ball. I mean, the kid's a stud. So I like those guys. Willie Adames is too expensive for me. He's struggling a little bit right now. They moved him down to the 5 hole. Don't love that. So just mini stacks for me for the Brewers. I don't like the chalky Brewers too much. Basically 2-man stacks for me with those 4 guys or 3 guys. I mean, Yelich, Santana, Frelick. I would include Contreras in there because he's hitting the ball pretty well right now too. So just those top 4 guys for me for the Brewers. On the national side, I'll bring up CJ Abrams every time he's on the slate, especially against the righty. I mean, the dude is a complete stud. 3 stolen bases yesterday, something like that. I mean, even if he gets a walk, you only get 2 points, but he's going to steal second. That's 7 points right there. I mean, he gets a run scored. You're talking 9 points in 1 at bat, right, from getting a walk. So I like CJ Abrams. Like always, his ownership's not going to be super crazy against Burns either. Bat and leadoff, does hit righties pretty well, but Corbin Burns has been elite versus lefties, so that is a concern. Tread caution, tread lightly there. That's why I like Corbin Burns a lot here. I mean, there's a lot of lefties that he's going to face, and he's striking out 45% of lefties over the last 30 days, which is absolutely absurd. So Corbin Burns, love him. Nationals for me are a no. It'd just be a one-off. CJ Abrams for the upside.
Yeah, no, good breakdown. I think so. Right now, if you dig even deeper and you go advanced, I think the Brewers will be more popular as like a 3-man or a 2-man to fill out another 5-man stack of someone than a full 5-man to the Brewers. I think you could go get a little unique. I do think Yelich will be one of the more popular ones in a Brewers stack. Carlos Santana right in the middle at his price tag, but like an Adames, a Frelick, Caratini, because probably people, maybe a Contreras actually might be lower owned than Caratini due to almost 2,000 in savings. But you pick out, you skip Yelich, you skip Santana, you 5-man the Brewers that way. I think they will be pretty low owned. If you do a Yelich, Carlos Santana, Caratini, like Frelick right there, they probably will be a little higher on. But I think they're more used as a mini stack, like you said. This is we're all assuming the Padres game does play. The Padres game doesn't play. So much ownership is going to the Braves, is going to the Brewers. But because this game is the first game of the night, the Braves are early in the slate, and the Padres are one of the later games of the slate too. Really going to be interesting about weather. And again, listen to Kevin Roth. That's what I do. That's what Nades does. So a lot of people in the industry does. So that's where ownership does differ depending on what he says. It's orange right now. Does good free content over there. So monitor that game. That'll throw a wrinkle in the slate. If that game gets postponed, or if that game then turns, he thinks it's a good to go. It's a green light. It's going to play fine. The whole slate changes based on that is how I see it. So I'll monitor that up to lock, though. Yeah, maybe I do like the Brewers more as a full 5-man or nothing at all, because people will go finish out their lineups when they only have 2.5K. You can get enough Brewers down there at the bottom of the order to fill out at least 2 guys below 3K. So my thoughts there, no Nationals. If they beat me, they beat me. Next game on the slate, Tampa Bay Rays, New York Yankees. Tyler Glass now, it was Herman, and now it's Johnny Brito on the mound. 80 degrees, New York Stadium, wind blowing out about 5 miles an hour to center. Again, Tampa has one of the higher totals outside of the main 2-3 teams I guess we just talked about. The Brewers throwing in as the third team. This lineup's good 1 through 9, man, and there's enough cheap pieces. You have the expensive, the Wander Francos of the world, Randy Rosarenas. Don't think people are really going to spend up for them. They'll either go to the big Padres bats, go to the Braves bats. They're easy to stack, second base, shortstop, some multi-position eligibility, get a cheap catcher down there in the 9 hole with some power and Betancourt. I like this Tampa team. I think I like them more than the Brewers. Yankee Stadium, guaranteed 9th inning at bat. I like this order. You can stack them in multiple ways. And yeah, they'll get some ownership. But again, outside of those other teams, Padres, Braves, I'm not worried about ownership. Sign me up, Rays, one of my favorite stacks of the night. What do you got?
Yeah, I think the Rays are my second favorite stack of the night behind the Braves. I just like this lineup, especially the confirmed lineup. It is out. Don't love Betancourt too much, but hey, 3K catcher, not the worst. But I mean, the other guys in the lineup, the other 8 hitters, Siri, Lowe, Paredes in there. I don't mind Paredes. Luke Raley batting in the 5 hole, excellent play at 4,200, double position eligible there. Randy Arozarena, Brandon Lau, Franco, Yandy Diaz. I mean, 1 through 8, love these guys. Brito's just not any good. Brito's cheeks. I mean, sub 16% K rate between this year and last year. 200 ISO for opposing hitters. Still allows 30+% fly balls. And I mean, the wind blowing out in Yankee Stadium is going to be about 80 degrees the entire duration. The wind kind of shifts. At least that's what I'm seeing through the middle of the game out to right field in that short porch over there, Title. So you get some of these lefties a little short porch. Brandon Lau, Luke Raley, Josh Lowe, short porch and right, 80 degrees against a pitcher that can't strike anyone out, gets barreled at a double-digit rate. Expected ERA up around 6. I mean, sign me up for these Rays. I like them quite a bit on this slate. Ownership's probably going to go up a little bit, but again, ownership doesn't matter on a Coors Field slate. It never does, especially with the Braves on this slate too. So doesn't matter. 5-man stack, 3-man stack, 2-man. Rays are firmly in play for me. On the Yankee side, I do like Glasnow. I think there's way better pitchers to attack on this 9-game slate. Just an Aaron Judge. I mean, you can always play Aaron Judge, always. I mean, any slate he's on. And then another guy, just a value punt guy. You have 2,500 left at the outfield position, Jake Bauers. I mean, strikeouts do come up with his power, but I mean, he's 2,500 with power. He's had double dongs this year. I think I cored him on a double dong one time this year, and I mean, he's sitting in the 6 hole at 2,500. You could definitely do worse with his power. So don't hate that, but yeah, no stack in the Yankees for me.
I like it, though. You're lockstep with the Rays. Absolutely love it. And again, at pitching, with how many options there are, ownership would be spread out that way. I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you like the Rays, if you like the Brewers, even if we'll get to the Braves or the Padres, like, you can get different in other spots on this slate. Think about how you do play those teams, and with how spread out pitching will be. Definitely, if you like the Rays, play them. Any stack today, I say you favorite stack, even if it is Padres, you think they're going to put up 12, jam the Padres. You can get different and still ship today on this 9-game slate. It's big enough. No doubt about that. Keeping it rolling. Next game, Baltimore Orioles, Toronto Blue Jays. Kyle Gibson, Chris Bassett on the mound. Got a 9 total. The Blue Jays definitely will be higher owned than the Orioles. Throw them in the same boat as the Rays that we just talked about, though. If you like the Blue Jays, go for it. I don't love them as much as the Rays. I even love them the Blue Jays. I respect Gibson enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say no on both sides of this one. I definitely like Chris Bassett, too, at the price tag. Not enough ownership he's going to get for game theory-wise to go the Orioles, in my opinion. And I just like other teams more than the Blue Jays. If you want the big bats, you got to pay for Bichette. You got to pay for Vlad. Chapman right there, too. If I did it, I would go to the bottom of the order as a cheap mini stack to fill out the rest of – if I'm double spending at pitcher, I'm playing the Padres, go down to the bottom of the order, maybe mini stack it that way with the cheap bats. But not much interest for me. What about you?
Yeah, no real interest in this. I did see a comment in the chat asking if the Dome is closed or thought the Dome was closed in Toronto. The Dome is actually open. Posted a link there on Twitter. Obviously, you can always find that stuff on Twitter. As of 40 minutes ago, the Dome is going to be open. That's where you're seeing the wind blowing in, the cool weather. So not the greatest hitting conditions in Toronto. I like both. I don't like Gibson much. I do like Bassett quite a bit here. I just think he has strikeout upside with this Baltimore Orioles lineup that they rolled out. Blue Jays side, I mean, sure, if you want a mini stack, Matt Chapman, Vlad Guerrero, you can include those. Fat Man Kirk there at the catcher. I wish Donnie Johnson, our boy, Appleton kid, was in there. I watched that kid play baseball. He owned us. I mean, he was throwing runners out from his knees in middle school, and the little Legion ball and all that growing up. You never ran on him. So he's not in there, but Alejandro Kirk, sub 3K catcher position. He can always hit it out. Kevin Biggio, sure, but not my favorite. So pretty easy stay away spot in this one overall.
Yep, lockstep. Love to be lockstep with big nades. Keeping it rolling. We got 260 watching, though, 85 likes. Again, appreciate everybody out there watching. I'll pull the nades. I'll give away top 2 hitters in our hitter rankings and our top 2 pitchers in our pitcher rankings. If we can get 150 likes, it should be very doable. I think you guys will get it done for us. But a little extra motivation, hit that like button. Again, giving you shows every single day on this channel. And if you aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out. Also notifies you every time we do go live. So 150, top 2 pitchers, top 2 hitters in our rankings over here at SHIPITNation.com, as well as projections, stack rankings to go along with core plays, slate plans, our favorite pitchers from Hoop, from G Ryzen, FanDuel, DraftKings, favorite stacks, favorite one-offs, cash report, cash cores, if you are in the cash streets as well. everything you need to be successful for one low price. $59 a month, $599 a year. All sports too. NFL coming up, NBA coming up, PGA been on fire, MMA, best ball, everything out there. Next game on the slate, you've talked about it a lot. Los Angeles Angels, Atlanta Braves. Was Griffin Canning like 10 minutes before the show? He got scratched. Chase Silseth on the mound. Charlie Morton on the mound for the Braves. If I'm playing like a really, really low-owned stack against one of the top pitchers, it would be the Angels for me, just because I think Morton is going to be the second highest pitcher on the board. It's 90 degrees, wind's blowing out. Plug in a low-owned Ohtani. They do have Crone in the lineup, but they just picked up two. Grichuk in there as well, so they're new acquisitions they did get. I don't think the Angels are the craziest thing on this slate. Probably prefer 3-man more than 5-man, but if I had to go any route, it would be Angels as the lowest owned against a top-tier pitcher. You love the Braves, though. I like the Braves. I almost liked them a little more against Canning. Man, they crushed lefties, but still Seth not worried about. Bullpen not good behind them. Talk about it, Nate. What you got in this one?
Yeah, I liked them a little bit more against Canning, but I think this just makes more people jump off of them because obviously everyone and their brother knows, their grandma knows, anyone. I mean, even their little cat in the next room knows. Braves against a lefty, but I don't care. I still like the Braves here quite a bit. They're locked in at the plate right now. I mean, they're seeing beach balls. Milwaukee couldn't do anything. I mean, Corbin Burns could have went out there and got shelled. I mean, Acuna, sure. You can always play Acuna 6,600. I mean, the dude steals bases, hit bombs. I mean, he does it all. Ozzie Albies 1 through 9. I mean, same story every day with the Braves. The only difference is today you get TDA in there instead of Sean Murphy. Huge downgrade. That's a joke. Sorry, it's not a downgrade. The Braves lineup is just crazy. I mean, the worst part is too, Title. We have to deal with this for about 7 years because they got all these guys for like pennies because their manager they got the best manager in the history of baseball, lock in all these guys for nothing in terms of contracts. So yeah, Braves are going to be good. All you Atlanta fans out there, congratulations. But yeah, Braves, I mean, same story, everything. I always go down to the bottom of the order down there. Orlando Arcia, I mean, he always goes under owned in Brave stacks because he's 4,100. It's a gross name to click at the shortstop position, but he's been pretty solid as of late. So I like him. Rosario, Michael Harris, Ozuna's absolutely locked in right now. I mean, 4,400. TDA, Matt Olson, Austin Riley. I mean, Riley's also locked in at the plate. Same story. But the Angels side, I mean, looking at Morton, current and last season numbers, Morton, he does get hit a little bit by lefties. And if you look at these Angels, their best hitters are lefties, obviously on the back of Mr. Ohtani himself. 30% fly ball rate between this season and last season to lefties, ISO numbers of right around 200. So I would prefer the lefties as a mini stack. Ohtani, Mickey Moniak, Moustakas in there, Rengifo batting leadoff. I don't hate those guys, but yeah, not full stack in the Angels. If you wanted a very low-owned, unowned stack, I mean, Ohtani's going to be absolutely unowned against Morton at 6,500 when you can pay $100 more and get Acuna on a team that has nearly a 6 implied run total. So don't hate that, but yeah, Braves. I mean, everyone on their team. Boss Bro, I know. Boss Bro says Silseth is a righty. I know Canning is a lefty. Canning was supposed to start. That's why I do think the Braves ownership as a stack has dropped because they smash left-handed pitching now with Silseth, the righty in there. He's not. I mean, if he throws 3 innings, I'll be surprised. It's going to be basically a bullpen game, and it just doesn't matter right now. The Braves are locked in. I believe in hot streaks, and I watched every one of those games, and they destroyed our Brewers.
Yeah. What we were saying is because Canning is the lefty. Now this is more of a bullpen game, which scares some people off a little bit too. Silseth, the righty. You prefer the Braves against a lefty a little bit, but this lineup top to bottom, like you said, go to the bottom of the order. Orlando Arcia, nobody ever plays. Michael Harris down there in the 9-hole. People play him a bit, but Eddie Rosario won't get much ownership. Talked about Ozuna, he'll get some, but you can play these guys. I mean, if you play 1 through 4, 6'6", 5'5", 6K, 6.3K, that alone will keep their stack ownership down. It's going to force you into the Pavetta route, the Bassett route, the Cobb route, stuff like that. So if you play the Braves or you full 5-man or something, you can still play Pavetta. Maybe that's where you go Ryan Nelson, a Irvin, a Gibson, an SP2. Just think about it because not every 5-man stack, but majority of 5-man Brave stacks, at least the top of the order ones, will have Nick Pivetta on their team too, because they just can't play up. You can't play Glasnow, Abbott, 5-man Braves stacks 1 through 5. Like we play the salary game over here. So that's the little things to think about when you are stacking it a certain way. Just know where the general roster construction does go. You can still play Pivetta, Braves, just get a different secondary stack, get a sub 10% pitcher, little things like that. Let's keep it rolling. Next game on the slate, Cincinnati Reds, Chicago Cubs, Andrew Abbott, Marcus Stroman, about 75 degrees in Wrigley. Better pitching weather than hitting, but again, it's 75, 8.5 total. I don't love this game too much. I didn't love the pitchers as much, but it was mainly the price point. Like if Abbott was 9K instead of 10K, I would have a lot more interest. I just like Burns and Glasnow more. And as far as Stroman, I just like the upside of Cobb more, Kirby more in that range at 8.4K. Stroman keeps the ball on the ground. I respect Abbott's arm enough. I don't love these teams as much. A mini stack maybe. I don't think you have to cross them off. 4 total for the Reds, 4.5 for the Cubs. But I like other spots on this slate, so I'll say pass. What do you got?
Yeah, I want to apologize for the chat. We said Canning was a lefty, but hey, it doesn't matter if he's a lefty, righty. It doesn't matter. Still the Braves offense.
Cobb's not starting either.
Correct. Yeah, I saw that.
Doing this 2 minutes ago. Oh, yeah. Gosh. So throw away everything about Cobb. Title, I did think he was a lefty, so throw that out as well. Yes, that's tough. But Cobb's not starting either, so that changes things for sure. Now, what's his name? Pivetta, Bassett, Kirby probably is all going to get more ownership. But yes, Boss Bro, I apologize to you. I did think that I was wrong. Thank you, Boss Bro.
Yeah, but still, the breakdown doesn't change. I mean, it's still the Braves' best offense in baseball. It doesn't matter who they're facing. When it's a sub-average pitcher, I don't really care. So breakdown doesn't change too much. The Cobb breakdown does change things a little bit because Junis, I think Junis probably is going to be. I mean, maybe throw 4 or 5 innings max. But yeah, we'll break that down once we get there. This game, I don't know. I mean, if I'm picking a side, it's the Reds just because Stroman's walks have jumped up to 12, 13% over the last 30 days. The last month, 12%, almost 14% to lefties. It would be the Reds, but I mean, not the greatest hitting conditions. I respect Abbott's arm, so I'm off the Cubs. Stroman, I do think, kind of returns back to form. He has struggled, so if you wanted a low-owned team with upside, I would choose the Red side. Joey Votto, De La Cruz, Frito, Jake Fraley. I would prefer the lefties more, Will Benson, those guys. But yeah, not my favorite game. Pretty easy stay-away spot overall for bats here.
So Junis is 7.5K. I was just looking if we'd get like another 5K something pitcher down there that could be viable. I would definitely not play him at 7.5K, but Cobb was definitely going to get some ownership. I think he was going to be like the 15-20 range. Now I think people are just going to go, some of that ownership will go Bassett. Maybe even Pivetta gets more ownership now. Kirby gets a little more. Morton. Just more ownership goes to those guys. Morton, Kirby, Pivetta, and then the 3 guys up top, Bassett as well. So definitely changes things. I liked Cobb a lot in that spot. Keeping it rolling, though, yeah, I didn't like – you were on the same page. Not as much interest in bats in Wrigley Field. Keep it rolling. Astros, Guardians, Noah Syndergaard, JP France, 9.5 total. The Astros, the 3rd highest total on the slate. And bottom of the order, you got cheap bats down there. And as far as Syndergaard, not sure how many innings he's going to pitch. Hasn't pitched in over a month now. It's like a month and a half coming back. I'm only expecting a couple innings at best, but man, it's not the old Noah Syndergaard. You can run on him. There's power to be had. This Astros team, healthy now. Yordan, Bregman, Tucker, Altuve, Pena. It's the Astros team that we're used to, that we like to stack. What are your thoughts on them? Compare them to the Braves, compare them to the Padres, and any interest on the other side?
Yeah, I think the Astros are a fine stack. I typically don't play the Astros too much. They are going to be probably a top 3 owned stack on the slate against Syndergaard here. I would look at the stolen base guys, Cal Tucker, Jukes. Is Jukes in the lineup?
Yeah, he's in the 8-hole.
Yeah, so Jukes has got 15 stolen bases on the year. Again, everyone knows you can run on Syndergaard. So Cal Tucker, Jukes, McCormick if he's in there, Pena, those guys. don't love the Astros. I just haven't played them too much. I wouldn't fault anyone. I like the Rays more. I like the Braves more. I only play 2 to 3 teams a night, so that's kind of where I'm going to push my chips in, and just rotate some pitchers around those guys. So Astros are fine. Prefer more of the mini stack. Kyle Tucker. Obviously, you can always play Yordong in there. Chas McCormick, Jukes, like I said, those guys. On the Guardians side, I don't hate it. JP France is still a low strikeout arm. Guardians have been hitting the ball pretty well. J-Ram in there, Josh Naylor, Josh Bell, pick one of those guys. Arias, if you want to punt shortstop at 2,200, but don't love the Guardians side. Maybe just a one-off or a mini stack. Just don't love this game too much, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we're kind of. I think the Astros are fine. I agree. I like the Rays a little more. The Astros are expensive though. Like if this Padres team does play, I mean, the top of the half of the order, the Altuves of the world, Tucker, Bregman, Yordong, their ownership, you might get them around 10%, maybe even 8%, something like that, because people would rather go to the Braves if they're spending up, would rather go to the top half of the Padres if they're spending up. And we did just get that Padres lineup. We'll talk about it next, but the big bats are in. So if you're trying to stack the big bats for the Astros, I think they probably come in even lower owned than projected ownership on some sites there. So the more you talk about it there, game theory wise, that you can eat double chalk at pitcher. Astros go under owned, 5.4 total. Guardians lineup or Guardians bullpen, not very good. There's some worse ones on the slate, but Syndergaard, couple innings that they can tee off on him, they can run on him, they can get to him early, and you'll get the worst bullpen arm. So kind of torn on them if they'll make my top 4 come to stacks. 4 games left on the slate, 3 games left on the slate. Perfect timing. Just got this Padres lined up. Looks pretty normal. We got Hung-Sung Kim, though, in the leadoff hold. Did not expect that. 4.5K, going to be popular. But Padres, Rockies, Seth Lugo, Austin Gomber. Gomber's no good, 80 degrees. Again, monitor weather in this one. This is the only weather concern on the slate. They have the highest total. If it's a green light, Padres will be the highest owned on the slate. And there's cheap bats in the bottom half of the order. You got Grissom down there, 3.2K. Banton, multi-position, first, third base, 2.8K. Gary Sanchez at catcher, 3.7. Cronenworth, multi-position eligibility, 4.2. You can five-man stack the Padres if you go to the bottom. Play 2 of the top pitchers. Cheap secondary stack with the Brewers, with the Blue Jays. Like, you can make that work, which is why they will be the highest owned to go along with their team total and stuff. Gomber's not good. What are you doing with these Padres? If you do play them, how would you play them? And then the Rockies, man, the other side, it's always the other side. I think they're going to be pretty low owned. I think they come in under owned against Seth Lugo. So I have interest in that side, and a lot of cheap bats. You can stack them up as well. So what do you got in this one?
Yeah, it's interesting. These Padres have hit Gomber pretty well in the past, especially Ha-Dong Kim. I mean, he's hitting 500 in 12 plate appearances with 5 doubles, 3 walks. So for all the BVP guys out there, you can preload your lineups with Ha-Dong Kim there. Is he in the lineup? Did you say right title? Is he back? I saw he was
batting lead off.
Yeah, I saw he was questionable. Yeah, so I mean, he's going to be a pretty popular guy. But yeah, I mean, you can play these Padres. I haven't played Coors Field too much this season. Again, I like the Rays more. I like the Braves more. I think I even might prefer the Astros a little bit more too, just at the discounted ownership. Again, it is a smaller slate. Gary Sanchez, I think I prefer the Padres more as a mini stack, to be honest with you. That's typically what I've done with Coors Field is more mini stacks versus the full 5-man. I just play other high upside teams like the Astros lineup or like the Braves lineup, like the Rays lineup, who hit bombs and can match the upside of the Coors Field game, right? Obviously, doesn't always work. Coors Field can always go nuclear, but I'll take my chances. Gary Sanchez, Trent Grisham, I like those 2 guys quite a bit. Ha-Dong Kim, obviously, Machado. I mean, pretty much 1 through 9, you can play these Padres against Gomber. Gomber's not any good. On the Rockies side, I actually don't have a ton of interest in the Rockies. Seth Lugo's actually been pretty decent, especially the last 30 days, 25% K rate. 47% ground balls, limits the fly balls. If you want to, I mean, Montero, if he's in there, Toglia, I think are 2 cheap guys if you need value. Montero, 3,500. Toglia, 2,900. Those guys. I mean, Ryan McMahon, 4,500 is a decent price point for him with his home run upside that he can bring. But yeah, definitely prefer the Padres side. More mini stacks for me, but overall, I'm kind of under on Coors tonight, especially with the weather and all the concerns. I just like the other spots more and think they can match them.
Yeah, Shane said per Bob Melvin he wasn't going to be in the lineup. We did just get that lineup 4 minutes ago, though. Ha-Seong Kim is batting leadoff. He is confirmed in that lineup. He wasn't in the projected lineup, so yeah, but he did come out. He's good to go. 4.5K. Will get good amount of ownership. So how I think like this game, if it's still a big concern prior to lock, or it's still not a big concern, if it's still Roth has it at orange, seems questionable. If it's red orange or like it's like no, don't play it. Very good chance it's postponed. Of course, I wouldn't play it. But if he's still optimistic, but there is some concern, ownership goes way down. I think that's when you take the chance in GPPs. And remember, if on FanDuel, if it does get postponed, it's kind of tougher on this slate. You only have 2 games left at the end of the night, but FanDuel does have it where the game I think starts delayed and it gets postponed. You can switch out your guys on FanDuel to anybody that is remaining. So you'd have 4 teams that you could switch to. Not the best hitting options after that, but at least you wouldn't take a 0. On DK, you'd be stuck with the 0. But if people take the risk, they're only going to take the risk on the Padres side. You can see the Rockies literally like 2% owned, 3% owned. If that's the case, they have a better shot than 2%, 3% to be on the optimal. So just that way, thinking it out at their price tags as well, I do like the Rocky side. You could throw it any name. If it had 4.7 total, I don't care how good Lugo's been, any of that, 2% owned in Coors Field, 4.7 team total, just talking numbers, just talking game theory, all of that. I think that's way too low owned there. So, yeah, I like the Rocky side. Monitor weather, of course. The scarier it gets, though, the lower the ownership is and the more it pivots to all these other teams on the slate. So very important to monitor that. We do have every single lineup out so far, though, except 3 games late. This is one of them. Boston Red Sox, Seattle Mariners, Nick Pivetta, George Kirby have the Boston lineup, don't have the Seattle lineup, but I don't really care. Pivetta will be one of the most popular. I think he will be the most popular on the slate. If not one, definitely number 2. Is there enough merit to play these Mariners, though? I said I'd rather the Angels than Morton. Probably still think that, but I don't know. Now that Alex Cobb's gone, maybe even Pivetta gets even more ownership at 6.6K. You don't have another mid-tier option that looks pretty good on paper. So game theory-wise, I think you can make a case. In a vacuum, they do not crack my top 5, 6, 7. Are you taking any game theory route, stacking against Pivetta, going to any Boston Bass needs?
I'd like to see more lefties. I wouldn't mind Crawford or Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh a likely hit from the left side of the plate. Looking at last 30-day numbers, Pivetta allowing 54% fly balls to lefties. That's pretty bad overall. But he's still, a 47.5% K rate over the last 30 days for Mr. Pivetta. So definitely like the other guys more. Mariners pretty much a complete cross off for me in this spot. But yeah, Pivetta's ownership did just increase with the Cobb scratch there because Junis is just going to open that game. 30, 40 pitches, maybe approach 50 pitches, but I don't think so. So people are going to play him because I was seeing 20-ish% ownership on him. So now I think that most of that just goes right to Pivetta there at 6,600 in a strikeout happy Mariners team. Think Pivetta's still good. It's just the matchup for me. You're looking for strikeouts. He's got a great K rate against the lineup that strikes out a lot. So I think that's good chalk to eat. Much rather, like we said, the Morton leverage with some of those Angels in a better hitting conditions. On the Red Sox side, not a ton of interest against Kirby. I like Kirby, but you can always play Casas. You can always play Rafael Devers there. Don't mind those guys, Justin Turner. But not a ton of interest overall in bats. I like the pitchers in that one.
Yeah, Boss Bro, like with the Cobb scratch, Boss Bro brought up a good point. Trade deadline Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. So just got another trade in this one. The Diamondbacks and the Mariners, 2 of the 3 lineups we are waiting on. And the D-backs did get rid of guys, Josh Rojas, Canzone, guys that were probably going to be in the lineup, at least in the projected lineup. So it'll be interesting to see what the D-backs roll out. The Mariners side, nothing's going to change for their lineup, but the D-backs did get rid of guys that were in the projected lineup, Rojas, Canzone. Very interesting these next couple days going to be a lot of trades, always a fun time, but it means a lot for DFS. I mean, that Cobb news just changed a bunch for sure. But yeah, these last two games, very good, going to be very low owned for bats, and I don't have much interest. The last game on the slate, again, 150 likes for the pitcher, for the top two pitchers, the top two hitters. Love it. If you get it, you guys have 260 watching. Very, very doable. Last game on the slate, though. If you get it done, give you the top two. If not, always appreciate everyone hanging out, hitting that like, hitting that subscribe button. D-backs, Giants, Ryan Nelson, now Jacob Junis, 60 degrees. Wind is blowing out, but again, wind doesn't matter much here. 8.5 total. I mean, it's a pitcher's weather, pitcher's park. I don't care. I like so many other spots more. Ryan Nelson, when people were talking about it, don't think it's the craziest punt on this slate. I'm not going to play these Giants bats. And as far as some of these D-backs against Junis, yeah, who knows how long he's going to go, a couple innings max. Then you get a bullpen game. Just lost two guys that were in the projected lineup as well. So many other better spots that I like more. What do you got?
Yeah, stay away spot for me. I'm kind of just forgetting about this game in general, pitching, bats. I don't think Nelson's the worst play on the board at his price point. We have seen peak performances this year from him. But yeah, don't love this game. Bats, pitching, nothing really. That Cobb is gone. So pretty easy stay away spot for me.
That's all 9 games on this slate. Nate, let's go top 3 stacks. We'll start with top 3 stacks today. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go Braves, number 1 for me. I'll go Tampa Bay Rays, number 2. And then I'll go Astros, number 3, behind those Padres. I've been down on Coors Field. I think it's going to continue. My contrarian one of the day would be the Angels, though, like we talked about against Morton, preferably those lefties. Yeah,
I'll join you. I'll join you on the Braves train. The thing is, though, again, if it's a little sketchy coming up to lock with the Padres, and it looks like the Braves might even get more ownership than the Padres just because it's an hour earlier. People will take what they know. They don't want to deal with the risk. There's not good pivots late. I would take the risk on the Padres. Again, monitor what Kevin Ross says. I'll be looking at that, no doubt. But if ownership's going to fluctuate a lot, I think taking a shot on the Braves, who would, on a normal slate, if it's a normal weather, no concerns, would be head and shoulders above the rest. Monitor that. I'll go Braves, though. I'm going to go Rays 2. My low-owned one is going to be the Rockies. Again, same thing in the weather. Monitor it. But I think there'll be a 2%, 3% owned, something like that, if weather still looks a little sketch. And that is definitely under-owned for their chance at the optimal. Nade's talking low-ish owned pitcher. I'll start first. And I was going to go Cobb. I really did like that spot. I'll go George Kirby. I love pitchers in Seattle. Good pitching weather, good pitching park. Boston team's not the same on the road. So I'll go Kirby there. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't know how low he's going to be, but I'm going to go Bassett Hound, Chris Bassett, 7,500 against that Baltimore team. Again, roof is going to be open there in Toronto. Not the greatest hitting weather, in the 70s, wind blowing in. I think Bassett can post a nice score. He's been better at home as well. So I like Bassett, 7,500.
I like it. Checking the likes. Not quite 150. Again, if you do all want the stack rankings, pitcher rankings, hitter rankings, though, projections, hoops thoughts, slate plan, G Risons, Nade's core, and all access to the Discord too. Any questions you have, head over to shipitnation.com. 59 month, $599 a year. So much coming. NFL right around the corner. Best time of the year coming up right here. No better time to join. Dong of the day, I am going to the Rays, right in the heart of the order. Brandon Lowe, 4.3K, 3.1K on FanDuel. I think he goes deep against Johnny Brito or the bullpen. I don't care who it is. How your reaction, it might have seemed like I took your spot. If I did, I'm sorry. That is why I went first, though, Nate. What you got?
Yeah, you took it. You did. But I'm going to give the guy hitting right behind him then, since you did take that. On the Rays, Mr. Randy Arozarena, 5,300 at the outfield to go deep tonight. Like the Rays, don't think the ownership's going to go too crazy with them, with the Astros, with Coors Field, with the Braves, with the other teams, the Brewers, etc. Give me the little Rays tonight to hit some bombs here against Brito.
Love it. Great stuff, Nace, today. Again, get in the Discord, monitor weather. Very important to monitor weather. It's going to change a lot of ownership. And who knows, with the trade deadline, Boss Bro was saying we saw Cobb's crash. Who knows what comes out these next couple of days. It's not quite NBA DFS, but you don't know who's going to get scratched, who's going to get traded. Monitor your phone, monitor lineups. Awesome stuff, though, Nades. Thank you, everybody, hanging out with us. Always a fun time seeing everybody in chat. Let's see some SHIPIT Nation logos up top tonight. For Nades, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.